We got a lot to get to today, Perloff, but it is rare that a football game where the two teams have a combined 5 wins heading into Week 10 is the most interesting game on the slate. But that's what happens when a team like the Indianapolis Colts pulls an unprecedented move like they did this week, which is plucking former All-Pro center and current broadcaster, I guess now current interim head coach, Jeff Saturday, to coach the team. And if this was going against like one of the good teams in the NFL, if they were playing the Chiefs this week, or they were playing the Philadelphia Eagles this week, or something like that, we'd be like, this is going to be a shellacking whitewash if they were playing the San Francisco 49ers. But because they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who have injuries upon injuries, who themselves only have 2 wins this year, it's almost makes it more intriguing, like maybe this weird Jeff Saturday experience has a shot in hell because the Raiders are also such a mess.
Well, keep in mind, the reason the Raiders are a mess is arguably because they hired their GM out of the TV booth, and Mike Mayock, who made about 5 years worth of picks that didn't work out. Probably partly John Gruden's fault. We're not gonna,
also, a guy who came out of the booth, although was a coach before.
Yeah, I won a Super Bowl before. I think it's a totally different thing. This is a referendum on all head coaches for the history of the NFL. Because if Jeff Saturday,
that's all?
Jeff Saturday, it's not just that they hired a guy out of the booth. They hired him Week 10.
Yeah.
That's implying that everything that happens between March and September is not important. This guy could come in here, doesn't know the plays. Probably he knows most of the players because he's been consulting the team. But it's an incredible thought. It'd be crazy to hire outside of the organization an experienced head coach. If they had hired Sean Payton, that would have been bizarre.
Right. But we would have given it a shot. Like we would understand, hey, get in the building because you're obviously going to be the head coach of the future. But
we would have understood that it had no chance this year because Sean Payton's not coming in Week 10 and installing his offense on a completely random team.
No.
Now, that would be, first of all, it's unprecedented. I don't know that there's ever been an interim coach who had no experience with the team. It's double unprecedented. A guy who's never coached except for high school. It's triple unprecedented because he was 20-16 in high school in Georgia. He wasn't exactly setting the world on fire. So I think the bar is really, really low here. About the Raiders, by the way, I know that Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow are out and Jonathan Abram was let go and they still have Devontae Adams. Is it that hard, Maggie? They should be able to do this at home. Why is this a panic situation for Vegas? They're going against Jeff Saturday. All you have to do to get your team fired up is say, do you see that guy over on the other sideline? He was on Get Up on Monday morning. Get Up on ESPN with Mike Greenberg. He was yakking with Mike Greenberg on Monday morning, and now he's coaching right now. This is crazy, right? Am I missing something?
No, but the problem with the Raiders is I have no doubt that at some point the Raiders are going to have a 2-touchdown lead in this game. I have no idea if the Raiders can hang on to a 2-touchdown lead. If I turn in, I want to bet the first half of this game and then basically turn it off in the second half because that's what the Raiders have been. They don't have my trust. And the thing is about Devontae Adams, he's been, when they target him, when he's able to get the ball, like he'll rack up some yardage. Like last week, he comes away with good numbers. The problem is they don't win. So it's so bizarre that they have this great weapon, and they're going to have to go to him now more than ever. I don't think the Colts have the defense even to stop him. Shaq Leonard is out this week now.
Oh, great.
They lose a huge piece on their defense, who obviously has been in and out of the lineup, but I don't even know if it matters. Like, the Raiders are their own worst enemy.
So the Colts do have Jonathan Taylor practice Thursday and Friday, I think for the first time all year. Jeff Saturday is a center. You assume he wants to run. Now, let's pretend that he wins.
Yeah.
Let's pretend that he goes on a run. He's 500 the rest of the year, which would be, to me, the most miraculous second half resurgence.
Their schedule is very hard.
It doesn't even matter. Just the fact that they have a non-coach coaching their team for the second half of the season, to me, is incredible. What would the impact be? Do you think we would see more former players?
Yes.
Do you think we would see more teams in the middle of the season ripping the cord and bringing someone from the outside?
Maybe not that. I mean, this is still ridiculous to do this midseason, but I think that if you want to be cynical about it, I think teams could use it as a way to get around the Rooney Rule. I think that if you want to just say straight up, like, what could happen, I think every player who has become buddy-buddy with the owner now, congratulations, you have a shot at becoming the head coach of the next of the team. Like, if you maintained a good relationship like Jeff Saturday clearly did with Jim Irsay. Now, Jim Irsay is not your average owner, He's a little out there. We all know that. I think I'm being kind. But I think if you maintained a good relationship, you're now in the mix. If this works.
But this is just one situation. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head another time this happened.
No, it's never happened.
It's never happened. It's all of a sudden
doesn't happen.
I mean, it is a copycat league. And listen, we all know what the trend is right now. The best, basically, anonymous offensive coordinators the best two teams right now are Nick Sirianni, who is an offensive assistant at the Colts, and Kevin O'Connell, who has no sort of head coach vibe about him. He seems like a pure offensive coordinator, and they're 7-1. So everyone's looking for those guys. I don't think they're looking for former centers, and I don't think he's going to win a lot of games here. I do not see this as a trend.
Okay. Can they win 2 games? And I feel like I'm being kind here. The Colts offense is terrible. We'll see what happens if Jonathan Taylor comes back. But they play at Vegas this week. Then they play the Eagles. Then they play Pittsburgh, just got TJ Watt back. We'll get into that later in the show. Then they go at Dallas. Then they get a bye, mercifully. They come out of the bye. You have to go to Minnesota. Then you play the Chargers at the New York Giants, which now looks like a much tougher game. And then you finish out the year at Houston, a team that you tied in the first game of the season. So there are not a lot of wins here.
Well, the bigger problem
in a normally coached
just
team.
Also keep in mind too, they let their play caller out the door too. Now 30-year-old Parks Frazier, who's never done this, is calling plays. That strikes me as something to be nervous about.
Can I also tell you about this caveat in the schedule?
You got another one?
Now, granted, this could change, maybe, but the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Monday Night Football, primetime. At Dallas, NBC Sunday Night Football against the Chargers, another Monday night game. You can't even hide. And right now the game at Minnesota is TBD. They have to hope this somehow gets flexed into a primetime game. Maybe Kirk Cousins playing in primetime, the bad mojo there maybe gives you a shot. But think about it. Like, this is
Monday night on ESPN, by the way.
I know. This is a little cross promotion for the former employee.
That Steelers game I'm looking for. That's the easiest game left, isn't it?
For them?
Yeah, that's like their
Houston.
one. Oh, Houston. Okay, so they might have 2 wins on that.
They might have 2 wins.
Yeah, I mean, we all know how Jeff Saturday coaches. I'm just kidding. We have no idea how Jeff Saturday.
Well, when it's a Jeff Saturday coach team, it's going to be smash mouth.
If I could write the script for this, I would pray that it comes down to a last-second decision on whether to go for it or not. And the whole world turns to Jeff Saturday, and Jeff's going to be like, I don't know. Go for it? I'm not a coach. Why are you asking me?
I bet it's going to be a very conservative game plan. If they can move the ball, I think it's going to be a lot of field goals. And they have Sam Ehlinger, who is just not a very good quarterback and hasn't had a lot of experience. So,
well, they almost won 2 weeks ago. Ehlinger led them. Actually, they were ahead. They would have won that game, but a guy dropped a pass right in front of him, went into the Commander's hands. So Ehlinger can play conservative. You can win that style. He'll run a little bit.
Yep.
I think it's going to be hard here. It's in Vegas. Do you think the Raiders, too, are going to be a little fired up, like a little embarrassed about this and say, we're not going to let this strange interim coach beat us?
You would think they would take that personally. Like, hey, we don't want to be the laughingstock here who gets beaten by Jeff Saturday,
That's bulletin board material. The way you say it like that, I'm going to be fired up if I'm the Raiders.
To be honest, it's not even on the players. It's on Josh McDaniels. Like, if you can't outfox Jeff Saturday all those years under Belichick, and somehow you would lose to an interim coach who got hired on Monday.
I mean, the other interim coach would have been John Fox. You could outfox John Fox.
Thanks, Dad.
Not really. Yeah. Actually, I screwed up the dad joke. That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. So while we are all on the outside kind of watching this just with just curiosity about how is this going to work? What is it going to mean? People on the inside and some former players are taking this very, very personally. And one of them is Joe Thomas, of course, himself an all-pro offensive lineman who was on Good Morning Football this morning as they're in Germany right now and went off on the hire.
Wow. And that's from a former Brown who lived the most egregious 15 years of NFL experience.
How many egregious coaching hires did the Browns make?
One thing.
Rob Chinson.
Irsay has been sober now for several years. He's not a drinking buddy of Jeff Saturday. I'm not sure that was Joe Thomas's point. Now, here's the problem. What if Jeff Saturday works? Who's a great offensive lineman in the media who you would tab to bring into your team.
Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas. And what if he gets a call? Cleveland, things are not looking great for Kevin Stefanski. I just think Joe Thomas better be careful about his rants because he could easily be in the same situation.
Are we like looking ahead 2023, week 14, meeting in the middle of the field as Jeff Saturday and Joe Thomas shaking hands as head coaches?
Joe's like, yeah, I was just trying to fill TV time. I'm so sorry about that.
He's actually jealous. No, I think he really took that. He took that really personally.
I mean, he is on TV trying to.
Oh, I didn't think that.
Points.
Joe Thomas doesn't need to hot take. I mean, I think he really felt that. I felt like that was a genuine moment. You thought that was a TV moment? Is Joe Thomas good enough at TV to do that?
That's a great. No, I think
this was genuine.
You're probably right. It just struck me as a little holier than thou for a former Cleveland Brown who's going to go to the Hall of Fame's playing one playoff game his entire career. I don't know.
That's not his fault. He's
I'm just saying, I feel like he is calling out the Colts. It just felt a little strong to me. Now, starting with the drinking buddy, I don't know if that was fair because, anyway, whatever.
That's a little personal.
You're right. Yeah. Joe Thomas is pretty good at TV, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
He's super smart. I don't know. It just struck me as a little off tone because the other thing is, I don't think Joe Thomas needs to take this take. Nobody's viewing this seriously, are they? Is anyone defending?
I think coaches are offended. I think people who have been busting their butt are offended.
Who's not offended by it? That's my point. I think that I think it's more they're laughing at this move than they're offended across the league.
I think it's both.
Okay. That's an interesting question. Are they just thinking Jim Irsay's lost his mind or are they saying this is really an affront?
Yes. The answer is yes. I think that every NFL team now wishes they could play the Colts. Yeah. Thank you for watching our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, just hit the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Just hit the bell.